Okay, so when you start off with Unity, one piece of advice that everybody gives to solo devs is don't work on a big game. You know, pick a small game, something that you can finish in like 6 months. Whatever you do, don't be like me and spend decades and decades working on the same project. That will... Oh, it's such a hard road to toe. There's something called code rot, which is to say, as time goes by, your code becomes older and older and more obsolete, and the software platforms that I'm using probably are too. Another piece of advice you get when you use Unity is start with the latest version and stick with that version. Don't upgrade in the middle of a project unless you absolutely need to. That's really good advice if you have a normal development cycle. It takes you about 2 or 3, 4 years maybe to finish the software. But in my case, by the time I finish, who knows if this version of Unity 2021 LTS, is going to be even compatible with the latest version of Windows or the latest version of DirectX that's out. We could be on DirectX 14.15 by then, who knows. And that's why I actually started this project on Unity 4, which is really, really old, and I've been incrementally upgrading my project as time goes by. But this time it's different, because this time we're going to have to do
the Great Conversion. Dun, dun, dun.
Go on, ask, what's the Great Conversion?
That's just a name I made up, but what I'm talking about is Unity has a shiny new renderer that they introduced 4 or 5, 6 years ago, so it's relatively new. And I've been happy to ignore it for a long time, but now the renderer that I'm using is deprecated, so that means it's not going to last much longer. So if I update to Unity 6, the newest version, I'm going to try to update my project so that it uses URP instead of the old built-in renderer. That means my game is going to look so much better and it's going to run amazing, right? It's going to be, well, actually no. My goal is to make it look exactly the same as it does now. But our two little protagonists are a funny color in URP. That is the color Unity assigns to any object that has a shader error or a material error. So URP is a totally new renderer, so my custom shader doesn't work with URP at all. Humorously, you can still see their faces, but that's because the faces are the unlit shader, which doesn't do a whole lot, so it's compatible by default, I guess. So at least we have that. Now, if I were using Unity's built-in shaders, this wouldn't be a problem at all, but I just had to go and make my own shaders. Back when I first started using Unity 4, I just had a simple Lambert diffuse shader and no post-processing at all. It just seemed like everything had a faded and dusty look to it, like an old PlayStation game. The normal diffuse shader multiplies the Lambert value of the light with the color of the surface that it's lighting. But to lessen the impact of the light, instead of multiplying, I wanted to use something more like the Photoshop overlay blend mode, which you can find the formula of on Wikipedia. All I did was convert the formula into shader language. So now you can see my shader on the left and the ugly old diffuse shader on the right. Nowadays, Unity has a new, sophisticated, physics-based rendering shader. It's got full-screen tone mapping, linear color space. If I had all of that at the beginning, I wouldn't have felt the need to make my own shader. But since I've already made my own shader, I liked the fact that I have kind of a unique, special look for my game. There's a lot of people on the internet that claim that they can just instantly tell if a game is a Unity game or an Unreal Engine game just by looking at it, and a lot of times it's probably because they use the default shader assets that come with the engine, so maybe having none of the above is kind of a nice distinguishing factor. But that means now I'll have to convert it to URP. And that's not even the only custom shader I have. I also made a soft light variation of the shader. The difference is the overlay shader I use on characters because that stays high contrast regardless of the lighting, but the soft light shader the details can kind of blend into the background. So it's better for backgrounds like, making buildings and walls and stuff like that. So the walls in this room are soft light. And the soft light shader has additional features like optional noise texture using triplanar projections, creating complex patterns of noise over a repeating surface. Okay, so in the next video I'm going to attempt to convert one of my shaders into URP using Unity's new shader graph system. We'll see how that goes. We have to make a lot of big changes coming up to make sure that nothing changes. A lot of work coming up ahead to get us to where we already are right now.